I went to the doctor. I asked him, what's the odds if I don't amputate? Like, I was 13 years old, and I mean, he just looks at me, straight face, and says, you'll die.
Good God. Like, everyone on the planet is gonna die. But we live our lives thinking that we're not.
That exact thought is the reason why I've wanted to spread my testimony. Because everybody has the question, what can I do in my life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I just got told I have incurable cancer. I don't know if I have much time.
A lot of people watching this would say, Colton, God's gonna heal you. We do believe in a God who heals, but we also know, like, Paul had a thorn in his side. John the Baptist got his head chopped up. Where are you at with that? He will, he might, he can.
I think
this is The Deep End with Lecrae.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back in 2025. Listen, in 2024, I had the unique opportunity to hang out at Children's Hospital of Atlanta with my guy Ryan Seacrest, who created Seacrest Studios. And he has a lot of young individuals come in there and share their stories and talk about what they're dealing with. And I met an individual in there whose story was very powerful. And outside of that, man, he was one of the few that talked about his journey with God. And I just said to myself, I got to get to know this guy a little bit more. And so we brought him here today, my man Colton. And the other cool part about Colton is your last name, bro.
Yes, sir. I looked you up.
Yeah.
I realized I knew your name was Lecrae.
We cousins, man. It's my light-skinned cousin. You know what I'm saying?
He said it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man. So Colton, man, you got a unique story, yes, and we want to get into that. I think what intrigued me was the fact that you were at Children's Hospital of Atlanta, and we were just talking just before this, and you said you've been there, going there since you were 9 years old.
Yeah,
and you're 21 now.
I'm 21 now. I turned 21 in August, but yeah, I've been there since about November of 2012. So,
and this is for a rare disease or a rare cancer.
Yeah, it's rare in the cancer world, they say.
Okay.
But I guess since once you get it, you meet people with cancer and stuff. So it's not as rare to me because I've met like 4, 5, 6 other people that have had it before that I'm close with to this day. So. And
what is it? It's called
Ewing Sarcoma.
Ewing Sarcoma. I knew I wasn't gonna get that right. So that's why I was like, yeah, tell me what that is. Yeah. But it's a bone cancer.
It's classified, like sarcomas are classified under bone cancer. Like you have osteosarcoma, you might have heard of that. But it's that's kind of like the cousin, I say, of Ewing's. Ewing's is a soft tissue cancer that it like grows in the cells, or not, it doesn't grow in the cell, it grows in the soft tissue. And the way it's formed is through like a DNA strand has like some mutation or like something messes up in your body, like one of your like DNA strands or like multiple, I don't know, in a certain area, and it just has an overgrowth of cells. And those overgrowth of cells turn into a tumor, and then that tumor turns into a cancer in your soft tissue, and the cancer becomes Ewing sarcoma. Okay. So
a lot of times when people think of cancer, they think of like older people, but you're like 9 years old getting this diagnosis. So
there's
like
people that get cancer when they get older, and then there's the whole different side to like childhood cancer. Yeah. So I mean, like, yeah, people don't see very much of like childhood cancer, or like say you donate to something that's just widely cancer research. I'm pretty sure only 4% goes to childhood cancer in general.
Wow. The research that gets done, only 4% goes to childhood.
Only 4% of profits when they want to do research and stuff for cancer, only 4% of it from the whole, from breast cancer to brain cancer to stomach, through all those organizations, through the cancer community and just adults. Yeah. Only 4% only just goes to childhood cancer as a whole.
But that was one of the reasons why, like years back, I did a song called "I'll Find You," where we were making sure proceeds from the song went to St. Jude, just because I went up there to visit kids, and it rocked me just to see that. How did that? If you look back, I know you're only 21 now, but looking back at getting that diagnosis as a you're like in elementary school, what is your brain thinking? Like, what do you think is happening?
So, I was in fourth grade. So I was playing football and stuff, and I kind of knew what cancer was as a kid, only being 9 because there was a girl in my class. Her name's Tori. She had brain cancer the year before I got diagnosed, and I remember her just leaving out of nowhere, going. So like I've kind of been like a kid at school that like somebody's gotten cancer, and then I ended up being the one right after her, and I was like, whoa. So she got brain cancer the year right before I did, and I just had like some weird like tumor pop up on the side of my left ankle.
So who found this tumor? You just saw it on your ankle one day, or what?
Yeah, I seen it playing football, like Pee Wee football, and we thought it was just a sprain. I casually like went to the foot and ankle doctor just to get like soles or stuff that looks perfect for my feet. And we went back to him when I had that spot pop up, and my nana had noticed after a month or so that it gotten bigger. So we went back to him, and he told us that yeah, we should probably cut it out. If it was my son, I'd cut it out. So we did that surgery, and it got sent off to multiple places like around the country.
Oh, so they cut it out of your ankle.
Yeah, I went to surgery with that guy. They didn't know what it was. They didn't do an MRI. They did it. I don't know if they did blood work or not, but they definitely did an MRI, and they definitely didn't do an MRI, and I did the surgery and to just remove it to see what it was and biopsy. So they removed most of it and most of the margins as they could, and then they sent off for biopsy. And when I went in to get my stitches taken out by that same foot and ankle doctor, that's when they told my mom and dad. And I know probably a lot of people watching are probably from Atlanta or like Georgia area, so they might not like me for this. But the day I got told I was diagnosed, I was watching the Alabama-Georgia SEC championship game. But I'm a Bama fan.
You had to throw that in there.
So I'm a Bama fan. So
there's a bunch of people watching saying Roll Tide right now. That's what they're saying. Anyway,
I got a lot of people barking at me mad for some reason too, though. So we won that game like on a last minute thing. I was super, super happy, super excited. Went to my room to play Madden. Just as a little 9-year-old going to play Madden in my room after the game, and then they call me in there, and I was like, "Do I need to turn my game off?"
Man,
they're like, my dad was like, "Yeah, you probably need to turn your game off," and I was like, that's when I got nervous because I haven't had to talk like this before. Nowadays, when they tell me, I prepare myself. I think in my head okay, if this is bad, you got to know to not crash out, basically. So.
I can imagine just a 9-year-old kid is just like, what does this even mean? Like, does this mean I'm going to die tomorrow? Does this am I out of the random thoughts that are probably going through your head, at that point in time? From that moment, you go on this journey now. So what's the first step in this journey? Like, are you immediately starting to go to hospitals? Like, what's...
So I had my first treatment a few days before Christmas. So it was December 21st or something like that.
What does the treatment look like for you at this time? Like, what are you having to do?
This time it's just it's the normal, it's the chemo bag. They come in with the yellow suits. They got the blue gloves. They make sure they can't touch it, nothing, and they're putting it on. And then I got a port, which a port is something that basically I think it's connected to a main heart artery or vein. And basically they put this needle in your port that goes through the IV, and it goes through as a chemo treatment to your port to get through your heart, like poison basically going through your heart.
Yeah.
It never was the cancer just making you sick. It's the medicine they're giving you. Like recently, I've started going a natural route for my medicine. And instead of doing another trial of this pill or something, because I've been off treatment since July.
That's awesome.
So I haven't taken any
and how you feeling?
Chemotherapy. It's at first it was, I felt a lot better. I was definitely feeling a lot healthier, and I was eating more. I had gained a little bit of weight back, just eating and stuff, and feeling more like myself. But then I still have been having there's been back pain on the left and right side of my back. So, I've gotten radiation, a few shots of radiation here and there to kind of help with the pain against, my nerves. I started taking narcotics when I was in the hospital, prescribed as a 9-year-old.
So let's rewind.
I was introduced. So
I want to rewind a little bit to, what is going to school like for you after this? Like, how are people seeing you? Like, what is the
they had a hospital homebound system.
Okay.
So a lady would go up to my school and get the homework and bring it to my house and kind of.
So you were taken out of school completely?
Run up on me. Yeah, I didn't go to school at all.
How did you feel about that? Did you care? Was you?
It was I say it was only, but it was only 10 months after every treatment, and I had 14. I had got a fever, and every time you run a fever, if you run it for an hour, they want you to come up to the hospital in the ER. Granted, I live an hour and a half away.
Sheesh.
So every time you get a fever, they just want to make sure you don't got a port infection. So if you have a fever for over an hour, you got to go up there and you got to basically get checked out, and I'd always end up having to go back and either stay a couple days. And I had 2 stays where it got scary that we'll dive into in a little while probably. Yeah. But it got scary there for like a minute for definitely not for me because I was just kind of just going to the road, just chilling. But it was scary for me to like see how my parents were reacting. They try to stay strong for you, but you know, whenever you like start to see them get scared and stuff in a situation that you know you should be scared, but they've been helping you cope this whole time. Once you see them scared, you're like, oh, you start
freaking out.
Yeah, you're like, uh-oh. So
it's crazy, and I mean, I'm jumping around a little bit, but it's crazy to me how comfortable and casual you are now, and even like your conversations about God and just like, you know, man, I'm just doing ministry, just want other people to, you know, you want to help other people, and that's like amazing to me. I mean, obviously you battle this for over 10 years now. So, you know what I mean? It's not like you're new to it, but it's still something that some people just got diagnosed yesterday and they're freaking out. And they don't know where God is and what's happening. And
no, I mean, they were me when I was there, me 10 years ago.
Right. And so it's crazy. While most 9-year-olds are playing with video games and Legos and running around with their friends, you're in a hospital having to get treatments and whatnot. What are some of the things that people are doing to make it feel like it's not as bad as it? Like how do they make you feel like, okay, I'm still a kid, I can still enjoy my life?
A lot of people, there was fundraisers and stuff that people did for me, and I had a few friends at school and stuff, and I had friends at like the baseball field and stuff, but I didn't hang out with I hung out with the friends like twice during my whole journey. I didn't do none of that when I was going through treatment. I was basically at home, my mom, dad, and thankfully I had an older sister at home that she'd have friends over and stuff. I just pretty much chill with them as a kid. My parents didn't let me really have friends over until I was like 11 or 12. There's one morning as a little 9-year-old, my little bald self, I had gotten to, like I said, I had 14 rounds. I think I'd gotten to round 12. And then a few days later, I started throwing up blood. And throwing up blood is normal for me sometimes. And by this time, we don't go to the Columbus ER anymore. We just go straight to the Atlanta ER because the Columbus ER they sent me straight up there through ambulance anyway.
Got you.
You know, I'd gotten on the blood pressure machine in the ER, and I was at, normal 80 blood pressure is 120 over 80. So my blood pressure was like 80 over 35.
Your blood pressure was definitely abnormal.
It was dropping. So it was like this new guy or something, and he was like saying, this is stories that my parents have told me. I only remember very, very few parts of during this. But this is just the stories I've heard from my parents while this is going on. And this guy was like, oh, I'll just check it in 10 minutes. The machine must be messed up. So, and then this lady working behind the desk seen my blood pressure and just asked, like, is that his blood pressure? And she was like, no, you got to get him back. And then next thing you know, there's a whole line of nurses lined up, and my parents are both behind them in the line, passing fluids and pumping syringes this wide, this thick around, just pumping syringes full of fluid into my body. And I just remember, all I remember is laying there and getting fluid here and there. I guess I was going in and out, sleeping, just tired. And then they put me up in the room, or they transferred me up to ICU, and I got put into a medically induced coma for my body to fight off whatever was going on at the time that they didn't know. So I was they put me in a medically induced coma because when you're breathing, you're using 80% of your energy, they say. So they put me in the coma so I didn't have to breathe on my own. And my body could use all its energy to fight off whatever was going on. And they came back, and, while I was under, they sat my parents down. They're like, your son is very, very, very sick. And they told them like 5 or 6 times, and they told me they didn't comprehend what he was trying to say. They weren't trying to, they didn't want to comprehend the fact that he's basically saying like, it's about a 60% chance you probably need to start, you know, planning your son's funeral arrangements. So, they had came back and said I'd gotten 3 blood infections throughout my entire body. So, I mean, I don't know exactly what 3 blood infections it was. It just I'd gotten sick. My immune system gotten weak enough, and I basically almost died that week, but sometime during that week because of simply how weak my body was from chemotherapy.
Man.
Not from cancer.
Man.
So, I'd woke up. They put me in the medically induced coma for 6 days. And granted, I got put under August 1st. So in 6 days, my birthday is August 7th. So I came out of this medically induced coma on my 10th birthday. And I remember, the only thing I remember before is needing to use the bathroom and my dad saying, you can't stand up and walk and go to the bathroom. You're not allowed to do that. They told me you can't do that. And, you know, in the hospital rooms for guys and stuff, they have, like, basically, like, piss jugs and stuff. Like, basically, you just, you know, do your business that way easier. And the nurses will help you and stuff. You know, you're so weak you don't want to walk with the pole just to go to the restroom. So we just, some of us use that instead. We just use the pee jug, basically. And I just remember asking my dad to grab that, and he was like, no, you're sick, you can't. Like, they told me just to tell you just to go where you, like, laying down, just go. Like, go where you're, like, I guess they had a diaper on me or something. I don't know. And he was just like, go, and I was like, no, I got it, Dad. And I don't know why he trusted me, but I got up and I was able to use the bathroom and lay back down. So I was okay. I was able to do it, but that's the one thing I remember from before.
Man.
The only thing I remember from waking up is I had a cousin bring me an Atlanta Braves watch and a deck of baseball trivia cards. An older cousin of mine, cousin Tony, he's like my dad's age, but I just remember that for some reason. And I remember waking up and it'd be like this, he was a nurse. And I just remember him telling me happy birthday, and I looked at him all stupid like, bro, it's not my birthday. What are you talking about?
Wow. Your 10th birthday, you were coming out of a coma. Like, because you talked a little bit earlier about, like, the resentment and the why me and the piece about God. Like, where do you still wrestle sometimes with, like, man, God, I know you're in control. Like, what is the point of this? Why am I having to deal with all of this type of stuff? Like,
you want to reach out to God, but instead of reaching out to God, you have not a hatred, but it's not hatred, but it's
like, why me?
Resentment.
Yeah.
I was trying to think. I was thinking the word. It's like resentment towards God, trying to figure out, like, why me? I mean, I didn't think about it this deep when I was younger.
Yeah.
But it's kind of just as a kid, it's like, oh, why me? Like, I mean, as I got older and the journey has still stayed with me, and it's been a consistent battle since 2020 now. You know, I was off and on from 2012 to 2020, but it was a constant battle, basically. And then now all of it together, no matter how harsh it's been basically each thing leads to another. You know, life is just a big butterfly effect, is what I believe. Like, life is just one big butterfly effect.
Like, God is using it for something else, for something else, for something else.
This now could lead to something for me down the road, or teaching you something down the road. Or somebody decided to watch this video, and somebody watching this video and hearing me and you talk, it's going to cause something completely different in life that could have happened beforehand.
Yeah.
Like, so.
You really have a lot of trust.
Like.
That's crazy.
I think a lot about stuff like that. So, I mean, yeah, so God, now I look back at it as God used me to put me in that coma. I know it was a hard fight and stuff, but, you know, the person that grew me up as a kid, like, going through, like, something very hard like that, and then growing up through it and stuff, it's still, like, as I gained my faith and stuff through him, I realized, like, I've trusted him enough to realize that, you know, at the time, I screamed, like, you know, when I got diagnosed the third time, I drove to a church parking lot and, you know, I screamed. So, I mean, like, it was just surreal. So, because after my second time, I got an amputation of the lower left leg. So I don't have a lower, like, you can tell through the sweatpants. So that's
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a pretty tough leg, but
yeah, it's hard. It's better than some of my tattoos.
I mean, that's a good thing about a prosthetic. I get interchange. It's just an interchangeable tattoo, man.
That's hard. So like you were talking about your second and third time diagnosed. So how long did you go before your second?
So I entered remission in September of 2013, and then I relapsed in March of 2017. I went 3.5 years in remission.
How do you realize you're in remission?
Remission is basically the doctor's telling you that there's nothing on the scan, like there's no cancer showing on the scans. You don't need treatment anymore. You know, you come back every 3 months for an MRI and a CT scan to check and make sure it doesn't, grow out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of people that are fortunate enough to, just have to deal with it once and then go back, and they constantly have the MRIs and CT scans, and, they become, they keep getting deeper into remission, and then after they hit the 5-year mark of being in remission, you enter this thing called Survivor's Clinic, to where you basically only get scanned once a year.
So when you first go into remission, what are your thoughts? What are you thinking? Are you thinking like...
Once I entered remission, it's kind of like I had, like I said, I had the 3rd-degree burns on my ankle. I didn't worry about that. Like I had a mark on my ankle that it was like a weird mark that it just looked like my skin was all weird. Like people would look at it if I was at the pool or something. But other than that, nobody, if I met somebody new, they never knew I had cancer. They never knew I'd gone through it. Nobody had, I went to middle school and hardly 70% of the kids there didn't know I had cancer until I relapsed in 8th grade.
And when you relapse in 8th grade, how do you what happens? Like, what's the story?
Yeah. So basically, at the end of that, I was playing. I was just playing baseball and going to school, living a normal kid life. After that, I didn't really talk about it like this or nothing. Like, it was just kind of something that I dealt with, and now I'm done with it. Now I'm healthy again. I want things to go back to the way they were before.
Yeah.
I'm done. I had the ankle problems when I was pitching, and we decided to, go to the doctor and get it checked out, and, they're like, okay, well, nothing popped up on the MRI or nothing. I went back home, and then a few days later, it was so bad that I couldn't walk on it. I was screaming, crying in pain. It was hurting so bad. I remember that probably being the second worst pain in my life.
Sheesh.
So, yeah, that pain was terrible. And so we went up to the hospital again for, to check, and they took me to clinic, and when I went to clinic, they gave me morphine and stuff, and I still had a high blood pressure. I was still crying, so they're like, dude, he's really hurting. His blood pressure's still up. He's not faking. He's for real. So, they gave me another thing of morphine, and then finally I fell asleep, and they did another MRI and stuff, didn't find nothing. And, they decided to do biopsy on it, and then that's when they came back, you relapsed with your Ewing Sarcoma, your cancer. So it actually brings about pain in your... The first time I didn't. That's the weird part. The first time I didn't, but the second time I did.
Yeah.
And the third time I kind of did.
I got to just say this because, you already talked about it, how you can talk through this casually, but bro, the strength the Lord is giving you is incredible. I just want to let you know that, you're walking in a supernatural strength to navigate something that tears people down. And I'm not saying it hasn't.
I try not to be a type of person that compares my difficulties compared. I don't want to compare mine to yours and make it seem like I've been through more than you have.
Right.
But I've used the card twice or 3 times before when I've gotten into it with somebody and they try to be they play victim against me or something. I'll be like, bro,
you have no idea.
I understand you've been through stuff, but come on, man. I don't bring it up. I don't try to use it as an advantage, but people people sometimes depending on who you're around and the type of person they are, they will pity themselves like we all do. We all have pitied ourselves at one point. But there's been times that people pity themselves so bad, and I'm I don't try to say like, bro, like it's like a thing as a, you don't have no idea, like you don't know, you ain't going through nothing, bro. Mm-hmm. It's kind of more just like you don't understand that you can easily do this. This is like, in my head, I know this is nothing compared to what I went through. Yeah. So I know if I can do like get through something they're going through, I know like if they take it to like a precaution enough to where they don't like just blow out and, you know, people would just get deep into a situation to the point they're just done. They don't talk about nothing. They lash it all out at once. Yeah. And that just creates like different issues for some people. And, you know,
bro, you're only 21 years old. Yeah, that's what's crazy.
Yeah, growing up, I grew up very fast. So, yeah. And I've had to talk a lot about problems. So I've become very, I guess, mentally mature enough to talk to somebody.
Oh, it's obvious.
Like as somebody, like as a camera or somebody to you, like.
It's obvious. Like, yeah, I just want to encourage you.
I'm very casual about it.
Yeah, I just want to encourage you in that because even for me, as I'm sitting here listening to you, like it encourages my soul. You know what I'm saying? Like some of the stuff that I've had to wrestle through in life, and I've been through a lot. Yeah. But at the same time, you know, my childhood trauma is not your childhood trauma, is not their childhood trauma. Right. But at the same time, as I'm listening to you tell your story, it's so painful. But yet and still, you found strength.
It's a very physical pain without noticing the mental pain until you're later down the road. So cancer's a very physical pain type of thing during it, and then it's a very mental after. It's very mental during, but during you're not thinking about it as much. Mm-hmm. You're just trying to get through the motions, and then afterwards you look back and you're like, "Damn, that's like, ooh,
I made it."
People who grow up in like a rough household or grow up around, you know, certain things they shouldn't be around at such a young age. Like I don't compare my situation to somebody like theirs because mine is completely
different.
It's it's completely different. Like I had love and support that some of the people don't have love and support, and that's the problem they're going through.
Right.
But I'm also dealing with something that my body. It's more like my body's fighting against me instead of it's an uncontrollable thing, which sucks. Sucks. Yeah, it's an uncontrollable thing that sucks. So
talk to me a little bit about like you know the when you're screaming to God, like what brought you to that place where you're just like, man, I hate this. This is too much.
The thing I look back on also as my journey is I wasn't very like religious at all or very into God until finally after I relapsed the third time. Like even after beating it 2 times, like even though they took my leg the second time around, and even after that, it's like
wait, the second time. So after you relapsed, they took your leg in 8th grade.
Yeah.
So 8th grade, you lose your leg. No. We gotta rewind the tape, bro. We can't go for wait. Before we get to you screaming at God. 8th grade, your leg gets taken. What is the, like, walk me through what your brain, your mind, your body, like, getting that news, like, take me there.
So, I mean, I went to the doctor, and I'm not going to say who it is. Yeah. But I went to him, and he was my surgeon for my amputation. And, you know, I asked him, I said, so what's the odds if I don't amputate? I was 13 years old, and I mean, he just looks at me, straight face, dead face. I don't know if because this is his job. He just looks at me and says, "You'll die."
Good God!
Like he's just like, you better do the amputation, or you know, you'll die.
Dang, that's what you tell a 13-year-old kid.
Me and my parents were kind of like, bro, what?
Jeez Louise.
But he was just like, yeah, you maybe have like he looked at me, he's like, you have like a 20% chance, but you'll probably die.
Yo, man, that's traumatic. And I had a therapist one time that said something real plain to me in this same type of vibe. That's horrible.
The thing for me though is like, it wasn't even like people think that like, maybe that kind of sound cold-hearted, but like to my head, I was just like, dude, that was weird. That was kind of like, that was too blank stare from me. Yeah, that was too normal for him to say that, and I was like, I don't know if he just had to tell a lot of kids that, or at the same time, it didn't bother me because I mean, I basically already been in the spot at 9 years old where I was fixing to die.
Sure, but still,
I know on the table. I know it's on the like me in my head. I'm like, duh, stupid. Like I got cancer. Of course, dying is on the table.
But that's not how you tell me.
Yeah,
it's not how you tell me.
But I kind of just brushed it off, and I was just like, okay. I mean, I guess I'll cut my leg off for you, dude, so you can get paid. I don't know, dude. So yeah, I did the amputation, and Buddy messed up the surgery too.
No, Colton, what is happening? You can't. No, wait a minute.
So
how do you mess up? Wait, what?
Also, there was a time that like my odds, like when you first get a port in, they tell you it's a 1 in a million chance you get your lung punctured during surgery.
And that happened to you?
Yeah, I had my lung punctured during surgery. I woke up with a chest tube in, and I'm like, bro, what is this? And they're like, yeah, they punctured your lung.
Colton.
I thought it was 1 in a million, dog. And they're like,
bro, when I tell
you're
you.
the one, bro.
When
and I was like,
listen, I don't want anybody watching this to complain. I just want them to go pray. I just want them to be like, God, give me the strength you gave Colton. Give me. Because, bro.
Of course, go pray.
You throwing up blood. Your ankle is 3rd-degree burns. You're 9 years old. You're missing out on hanging out with friends. You get to the 8th grade. You relapse crazy. You talk to Dr. Doom over here.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say his name because he is a great. I mean, I've met other kids who have had him as a doctor.
All right, that's cool. Yeah.
So I mean, they didn't mess him up.
That's cool, but he wasn't cool with you.
I had a very bad experience.
He wasn't cool with you. Maybe he's changed, but we're not gonna recommend him today. So they amputate your leg. They don't even get that right, and then they accidentally puncture your lung.
That was back when I was 9, the first time.
Okay.
The punctured lung was like my first thing I ever dealt with. But
okay. So are you just like so numb to this reality that even though your leg is partially amputated, you're like, at least I'm alive? Or are you like, dang, my leg is going. Like, are you thinking like, dang, I can't play baseball? Or what is your brain processing?
I mean, I never became a deep thinker about it.
Okay.
Throughout it.
You just had to live. You had to survive.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I only started thinking more deeply about it as I've gotten older.
Okay.
But I mean, when I was 13 and had my leg amputated, I'm still in middle school. Like I'm still.
You're not thinking like, oh shoot.
I'm still I was still like a cringe little 12-year-old, like 13-year-old listening to the new Drake album or the new 21 Savage album, playing 2K17.
All right. This is like a movie. This is not a podcast episode. This is a movie. So, because I'm like, we can't. There's no way to tap in. I want you to help us. Like, because you've been through so much, and now it's like where are you? So like
I had my leg cut off.
Right, but I was gonna say when I said no, back up, get back to the leg, you were taking me somewhere else at first about you screaming at God, because I do want to get.
This was after the leg.
Yeah, I know. I said I do want to get to people understanding your mindset there, though.
Yeah.
So if we could jump forward a little bit.
Yeah, we about to.
Yeah.
So I mean, we got to the they had amputated my leg. Mm-hmm. It was my last visit at the clinic to be able to go to Survivor's Clinic and be officially cancer free after 5 years.
Dang.
So I'd gotten a scan, and like they just out of nowhere said we seen a spot on his back, on his spine. So I'm just like. It was really hard. Like, it was really just defeating to hear. Mm-hmm. Like the first 2 times I got through it, and I figured you have to assume you're done. Mm-hmm. They took off the whole part where it was at in their ankle, so I just assumed I was completely done.
Yeah.
And then they tell you that, and it's just like a terrible gut punch. But it was it was weird because when my parents told me, I didn't break down and cry. I just looked at him and I was like, all right, well, let's get this over. Let's just get over with it again. I don't know what to say besides, we just gotta my day is more like a live one day at a time. Mm-hmm. Just take life slow instead of planning it out in advance.
Yeah. So
that's how I've just been living lately, and I basically got to the point where when I relapsed after 4.5 years, I think it was they found a spot And then a few days later, they called and officially like confirmed, like, yeah, we believe it's his cancer. So I think that next day after they called, I drove up to like the church I went to when I was in high school. So the 4.5 years out of remission was basically all the high school years. So I mean, I went to the church, and I just I was sitting in my car, and I was just I don't remember what song was playing, or I had a song playing, and then I just turned it down, and I just started crying to myself and bawling, and just I got to the point where I just like punched my steering wheel a couple times. It's just like I was just at that point just screaming at him, just asking him, I've fought so hard and so long. Why do I gotta, why does it have to come back in my spine of all places too? Like something that literally keeps my head on my shoulders.
Yeah.
Like you gotta put the cancer right where so I had it felt terrible then, but I had kept my composure, and I was at the age to the point where I didn't want to show I was weak in front of my family.
Yeah.
I don't want to show I was vulnerable in front of my family. Wow. So I looked to God instead of, I had friends and stuff, but there was only like one of them I ever like I'd ever talked to on a deep level. And then,
yeah. 18-year-olds typically don't get that deep.
Yeah. we had deep talks throughout high school and stuff, but like we didn't really talk about, it was like, I never talked about my cancer on like such a deep level.
Right.
It was something like I joked about with my friends. Like we still joke about it and stuff. Like the only one they hate is whenever I joke about dying. So they're like, bro, you
cut it out. Well, that's what I was going to ask you. One, I want to say this too. It's like, I do think that it's admirable and it's encouraging, because I think we forget we live in a broken world. I think we forget that this is not paradise. This is not perfection. I think sometimes we get so attached to the here and the now, we forget like, oh, this place is cursed. It's going down, and we're going to have to deal with the effects of a fallen, broken world. And that's the whole point of Jesus coming, is to redeem our souls so we can live with him in a better paradise, in the new Eden, the new paradise. But while we're here, we don't know what kind of suffering may come our way, right? We gotta, like you said, like pray for the butterfly effect to take place. And like, all right, well, I don't know what you're using this for. I mean, Jesus had to die, But even though we know that to be true, like just recently, I this is the first time I shared this, but I'm at home and I noticed, a unique growth on my leg, and I'm like, what if that's a tumor? It ended up being like a bacterial infection, but I was like, what if it's a tumor? And I kind of ran through the process of what if it is, and what if this is it for me? And when I confronted death mentally, what it did for me was it made me say, I'm not afraid to die, but I also don't know if I've lived fully, if I've like said all the things I need to say, if I'm pouring my life out in the way that God has told me. And the way you're looking at life is so mature, because you're like, everything I do could lead to something else, And I want to live my life that way. I think everybody should. It's like, man, every moment matters. Every moment could be a cause and effect for someone else to be helped. But at the same time, there was fear. And I'm just curious for you, like, on your worst days when you're thinking about death, like what's the fear for you? Is it family? Is it like, what are you processing?
Death has really never crossed my mind until I got to the incurable part. So after that third time, I took a pill for like a year and a half. I got this called a target therapy pill. It just targeted the bone, and like I think it slowed down blood flow or something to it. It was something that was used for another disease, but they tried it with mine, and it had taken the tumor away off the MRI, or it had killed it, but the tumor was there. There was no cancer growth in it, but the tumor was, still there in my back. And 3 months later, they said, "Oh, we have there's still a little bit of cancer in your back. Keep taking your medicine." So I mean, and then I had a random scan, and it had grown closer to my spinal cord. So once I had grown closer to my spinal cord, they did back surgery, and I had spinal fusion, and they took my T4 vertebrae out. So during that time was the deepest I had gotten in my point in this third time around. Like, I'm grown now. So like I'm grown now, and I feel like I have a duty to, like, I started working again for a little bit, even on this pill. Like, I felt like, okay, I'm just gonna be on this pill my whole life. Like, I had started working again, and I started working out. Or we had the spring break trip in 2 months, and I'd really grown closer to that ministry and really found my light with God through that trip. Because that trip really, like, it was one of those moments I could see where God was reaching out. It was one of those moments I could see God giving his hand out and saying, come to me in this moment when you are at one of your low points mentally. So I had gone to that trip, and, you know, I went as a guest the July before in 2023. And I had grown a very, very close bond with a bunch of other people my age that same week, and they volunteered the same week. So they came back, and where I've decided I finally want to volunteer for these like families instead of being one of these families. Like, even though I'm still going through it, like, I know I'm good enough to, I know I'm just taking a pill, but I'm healthy enough to the point where I can, this medicine's not tearing me down enough. I can help. So I stayed around that July trip, and it was very hot, but we had a family we were assigned to, and we made sure they had the best weeks of their lives. And I decided that week, like, somebody came up to me that I was close with. Mr. Phillip asked me, have you ever been baptized or ever been saved before? Because he had seen a lot of, like, passion in me and a lot of faith and a lot of how badly, like, how much I wanted to be there when I was volunteering. And I told him, I said, no. He said, really? And I was like, yeah, I've never. So he asked me if I wanted to give my life to him right then and there. And I was like, how do I do it? And I was like, he was like, I'll give your life to him right now. I'll save you right now, and then we can do a baptism later. And so right on the spot, I was like, okay, let's do it. I was like really considering getting baptized anyway on this trip, because I had seen back in 2015, 10 years ago, there was a kid who also got baptized in the ocean on the trip. And I thought about how he did that, so I wanted to do it in front of all my friends and my family. Like, they're all family to me. Like, that's the Blue Skies people. They are all like my family.
Shout out to Blue Skies Ministry, man.
They have changed my life in ways I cannot even, express. Yeah, I can't even. I tell Miss Melinda every time I hug her that she saved my life. So, like, just mentally, I know exactly. Like, I haven't teared up at all during this whole thing talking about my story, but talking about Miss Melinda and Blue Skies, man. Those are my people, bro.
Man,
they really saved me and brought me to God. So it's a very special thing I got for them. So, while I'm crying, I'm going to use the opportunity to say you can go to blueskiesministries.com and donate to the kids who battle like me.
I love that.
Sponsor for them without even telling you beforehand. No, yeah, those people have changed my life. They're the reason that I made it realize. They're the reason that I was able to turn this positive into. I'm going through cancer because of God. I always thought about it and had people say that to me, but they're the people that brought me to watch it happen, see it, to see why God gave me cancer. So if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be as talking about my story or trying to spread my testimony and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd gotten baptized on that trip, and my whole thing was, I'm so glad I did, because 2 weeks after I had gotten baptized, that's when I was having back pain on the trip, and they told me that they came in after like an MRI, and they're like, your cancer has come back after the back surgery. There's basically, we can talk about stuff later, but like, we just want to tell you now that whatever we do is not going to completely cure it. Like it's incurable at this point. So they told me it was incurable a couple weeks after, and you know, I was in a hospital bed in Atlanta, and I cried. I didn't hearing that news. I didn't like. The only way I could approach it, I didn't tell my aunt. And the only person I told was my sister. My mom, my dad, my sister. After that, I just posted it to Facebook and Instagram and let it be and let everybody see it at the same time. Yeah.
So a lot of times, you know, in church, people say like, "Oh, God has a plan for your pain."
Right.
And you know, this is for a reason.
So how does that make me feel? Like
yeah, when you hear that,
yeah,
are you like, well, sometimes you just gotta suffer and there's no plan, or sometimes there is like, I mean, what is your thought process?
Like now, like going through it my first few years, like the first probably 8 years, maybe like 7. First 7 8 years, all it was I just got through it and I'm done. And people asked, well, I had a prosthetic leg, but it was just always, oh, I just had cancer. Or I have cancer, you know. It's just, you know. But now it's more of, you know, it was like the third time around really brought my head around to, like, you know, in church, if people are like, oh, I can't, just, like, when I was a kid, I was just be like, I didn't think much of it. Like, I just think they just, you know, they hear the word cancer and think it's so bad. Like, I'm not overthinking it, thinking, you don't know what I'm going through, woman, or nothing like no, like, I did try as a kid, like, just always believe what I was going through was going to be for a reason. And, you know, even though it was so long ago, like, all the people I met on the way made it so, like, even before the third time around, I saw a bunch of people I met, like, that I have a friend group that I'm close to now because of what I went through. Like one of my bestest friends, I met him. Well, I had my friend group at home, and then he was one of my bestest friends out at on another one of the organizations I went on. I went on a Bert's Big Adventure. You know,
I know exactly.
Yeah, Bert. Yeah, the Bert show. He did the Bert's Big Adventure. I went on one of those with him, and I met another kid my age, and you know, me and him stayed friends throughout, and you know, he only lives like an hour away or so. So, you know, me and my friends started playing like Xbox with him and his friends, and now we all play like PC and Xbox together. Like, we all play PC together, and like he comes down like for like holidays or birthdays or like UFC events and stuff. So like we basically like all talk every day, and I have like one of my closest friends because of basically I just had cancer and met him at an organization. So I mean, I'm very thankful. To answer the question directly, is going through it, I was very understanding of what the saying, what you're going through for a reason, was. Other people saying it, I know they don't, like, sometimes in my head, of course, I'm thinking, like, she doesn't know what she's talking about, or it just be like, certain times they tell me, I'd be like, I know, and then other times I'd feel like, no, like, this is stupid, I gotta go through this. Like, this is so stupid. And, like, cancer is so stupid. Like, why did I have to go through like, out of all things, like, bro, cancer? That's so stupid. Like, my own body, no, but
that's good, man.
So, for real though,
yeah,
it's there'd be times where I just basically, you know, realize, it's for a reason. Or as a kid, I knew, I figured it happened for a reason. I just believed in it. And at other times, if I was in a bad mood, I'd just be like, nothing's gonna happen because I'm going through this right now.
Yeah.
And then later down the road, I'm still going through it now. And now it's like, I found my way through God through it, and it changed my life to, like, mentally, and, you know, hopefully he changes it for me physically. Hopefully,
I'm a firm believer of that.
Hopefully there's a butterfly effect or something of me. Him trying to show me my strength. Finally, he was I was being very stubborn. I guess the whole story around it was growing up. I was very stubborn to thinking I was, I guess, strong enough.
Yeah.
Or I guess was too scared enough to go to him or give my word to him. So he just, I finally went to him after he had, I guess kept trying to show me my strength. Yeah. I mean, maybe some of it could be punishment for something. I don't. I don't think. But God is, supposed to love you for who you are. And
I mean, sometimes He disciplines for sure, but I think He doesn't waste our pain. And I think,
but yeah, I do believe, like, even though it sounds like awful pain, you got to think it's awful for, like, sometimes it's more awful for my family than it is for me. Because most of the time, because there could be most of the time I'm just sleeping.
And they can't do nothing about, they feel helpless.
I'm just sleeping sometimes. I ain't really thinking about it. Like,
a lot of people watching this would say, Colton, God's going to heal you, or I believe God's going to heal you, or you can be healed. And, I think we do believe in a God who heals, but we also know, like, Paul had a thorn in his side. John the Baptist got his head chopped off, right? Like, certain things happen where you're like, dang, God, where are you at? Where are you at with that? Like, are you like, He will, He might, He can? Or?
I think the whole, I feel like the whole perception of death is kind of, it's not like people try to treat death like the normal is, live to old age or like live to an older age and go through things young, like go through a life, basically learn stuff, do stuff, and then, everybody dies. That's the truth. So, I mean, and it's your choice whether you want to give your life to God or not and believe in Him or not. So I think if I was basically not win my battle or He not heal me and I passed away at a young age or a younger age and maybe what I could have if I didn't get cancer, like, it's just He put me through the things I had to go through. I grew up fast. I went through life as fast as He wanted me to. I had nothing else to give, or He had nothing else planned for me after. Maybe, but I know that the world doesn't revolve around me. So my death is going to affect somebody else, but it also help somebody else, or I could have encouraged somebody else.
That's good.
So, I mean, world doesn't, like, that's a perfect, like, the world doesn't revolve around you at all. So,
it's
it doesn't mean if you die, the world's done.
Yeah.
If you die, time don't stop. Until God said so.
So you kind of feel like whatever it is, whatever my fate is, God is gonna get out of it what He wants.
I feel like He'll do good with whatever.
Yeah. If you live to 100 or you live for however long.
Death is a scary thing always, and people will say they're not scared of death, but whenever, like, I'm very, understandable of being incurable, but I'm a very hard believer, and maybe all of this is a setup for one insane miracle from Him to give me, like, and if that doesn't happen, then that's okay. One big miracle is getting your hopes up. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if He doesn't say, like I come on this podcast and, and if this could be like the last thing He has planned for me, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not like knock on, like, that ain't wood. But,
don't worry about it. The cross is all the wood we need, baby.
Yes, sir. So, like this is me spreading my word or something. And then, or He has something else planned for me or another example to set. Or,
I love
it's always people coming into the world and, growing up, and it's just a circle of life. So.
Your perspective is better than like 99% of most people's perspective.
I don't think people have. Also, with this, I've had a lot of time to think to myself. I'm not always working. I'm not always in school anymore. Like, I feel like I've talked a lot about it, and so I've become very content with my with what I'm going through. I wouldn't say with my life. Like, I definitely wish I could be out doing more things, of course, but I think God if this is just one thing he wants me to get through, then whenever I do go through life later on, then it's going to be a whole lot greater of a journey and be a great storytelling throughout for other people also.
The thing I love is, when you see Jesus in the Bible healing people, like even when he heals a man at the pool, he had to step over a lot of folks to heal that one guy. When the woman touches the hem of his garment, he passed by a lot of people who needed healing and they didn't get healed. And so it's like, it's not that he's ignoring everyone else. It's that a lot of times the healing is to tell a story. Like he's like, oh, I need a story to be told. But that doesn't mean you can't tell your story if you haven't been healed. You know what I'm saying? It's like, either way, tell a story about how good God is. Yeah. And if he heals you, awesome. Tell that story too. But if he doesn't, because like with my anxiety battle, it's something that I've dealt with that it's gotten crippling at times. I feel like I'm been in remission, but still, it's like if he heals it, amazing, I'll testify. But if he doesn't, it's like he's still good. I'm still going to talk about how good he is. So as I'm sitting here listening to your story, what I don't know if you understand is like everyone on the planet is going to die. We're all going to die. But we live our lives thinking that we're not.
But that exact thought is the reason why I've wanted to spread my testimony. Why I was so excited. Like why when Miss Wendy at the Secret Studios asked me to come and talk on the radio at the grand opening. That's why I just said yes. Like I want that thought of I feel like, because everybody has the question, like what can I do in my life, to make a change. Just even if it's the smallest little thing. Yeah. So like I was like, okay, well I just got told I have incurable cancer. I don't know if I have much time. So it's thing like, this is a crazy thing. I got baptized and 2 months or 2 weeks later I hear this. I don't feel obligated to give my life to God. I know I'm going to heaven now. I don't feel obligated now. I gave my life to Jesus. So I like when you asked me to come on this podcast, so like I emailed back and I was like, yeah, like this is perfect to like spread like like it's not about spreading what I've been going through, but spreading about finding your peace, finding your health, or like finding your power to go through something like through like health or physically, whatever mentally, it may be. Anything like
my brother,
like other cancer, like kids could be watching this that are 9 years old that just got diagnosed with cancer. Yeah, and like they could see me now and they're like, I hope.
Not could be, will be. There will like, I can tell you that now. Some child is going to end up watching this because you were brave enough to share your journey here. Someone's going to make sure that someone watches this.
I hope that. I hope that the same kid does the same thing I'm doing, or even does something greater. If you can go out and talk on the bigger stage, or make something bigger than what you are.
It's just you being faithful. I'm gonna say this because I know we on a limited time, but here's what first thing I'm gonna just reiterate. Absolutely, God is doing something amazing with you, and here's why I say that is because I spent New Year's at a church, massive church, incredible pastor. All three of his kids are incredible leaders in society, in ministry. They're changing the world out there. They're doing amazing things. His dad did not know Jesus. Neither did his mom. The pastor's mom and dad didn't know Jesus. One day his dad is out fishing. Two guys come by on a boat and say, hey, would you want to go to church? He's like, I guess so. So the grandfather goes to church with these two guys on the boat, eventually meets Jesus. His wife says, something's different about you. I want what you got. She meets Jesus. He asks all the kids to come downstairs. He shares his faith with the kids. The oldest one is the dad, who's the pastor of this massive church. And those two parents told their kids about Jesus. That the dad becomes a Christian. tells his kids about Jesus. They're all over the world doing all kinds of amazing things. And the story's not about those kids. The story's not about the dad who's a pastor. The story's not about the grandfather who got saved. The story's about just two dudes on a boat. We don't know who they are. But they shared what God gave them.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing.
What I said, the butterfly effect.
Yeah, it's like
two dudes on a boat.
We don't know what's gonna happen, but you just beat a dude on a boat and
be the dude on the boat.
Be the dude, and you are the dude on the boat, bro. You are the dude on the boat. So, man, I'm proud of you. I'm glad to know you, bro.
Yes, sir.
And I appreciate you being here, man. Thank you for sharing your story, bro.
For sure.
Shout out to Blue Skies Ministries.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you a lot. You know, bringing me on here and stuff. You know,
absolutely.
We definitely connected about Atlanta and the Jersey and stuff at the Secret Studio. So I was definitely hyped about.
Yeah,
you guys reaching out. So
absolutely, we're gonna load you up. We're gonna send you home with some stuff too, man.
Yes, sir, for sure.
Blessings, Colton, man. Thank you, bro.
That was a terrible. Hold on, we gotta do that again.
All right. There it is.